is talking about. If we look into the theme, there's a sentence repeating in the Deuteronomy list. Watch yourself lest you forget. God repeatedly tells the Israelites through Moses in the book of Deuteronomy. So actually Deuteronomy is repeating the same theme or same topic, remind them to keep the covenant God made with their forefather, and remind them to keep the law of God. Because before Moses passed away, what he concerned the most is not the livelihood of or the daily necessity of the Israel. Because Moses experienced by himself that if God is with them, and there will be no difficulty for their daily necessity. So Moses worried the most is their faith, their relationship with God. Today, we worry so much about our daily, a lot of things. But actually, if our relationship with God is good, then all the problems can be resolved. So the relation with God is the foundation of everything. Is the source of everything. A lot of times we forget the foundation and we pursue something trivial. What to eat, what to drink. Deuteronomy chapter 4, let's turn to point 1. God's holy law was vital. Let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 4. Verse 1. Now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and the judgment which I teach you to observe, that you may live and go in and possess the land of the Lord God of your father is given you. And verse 2, and you shall not add to the words which I command you, nor take from it, that you may keep the commandment of the Lord your God, which I command you. Verse 3, your eyes have seen what the Lord did at Baal Peor. For the Lord your God has destroyed from among you all the men who follow Baal of Peor. Verse 4, but you who held fast to the Lord your God are alive today, and every one of you. And verse 5, surely I have taught you statutes and judgment, just as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should act according to them in the land which you go to possess. Verse 6, therefore be careful to observe them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the people who will hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is wise and understanding people. Verse 7, for what great nation is there that has God so near to it, as the Lord our God is to us, for whatever reason we may call upon him. Verse 8, and what great nation is there that there has such statutes and righteous judgment are the one in all the law which I set before you these days. So this is what Moses reminded the Israelites the holy law of God is so vital. Now, if they keep the law of God, God will be with them. If they keep the law of God, they will be considered a very wise nation. And every other nation will notice the nation of Israel will be different from others. How come? Because God is with them. And they are going to receive a lot of different kind of blessings. So keeping the law of God will ensure the abundance of God. When they have abundance of God, and they have everything, they lack nothing. So there's a sequence. But if we don't keep the law of God, we cannot have abundance of God. If we don't have abundance of God, and then we are facing a lot of problems in our own life. So today we have the teaching of the Bible. We know it, we do it, and then God will be with us. When God is with us, the blessing of God will follow. And then we will live a very wonderful life. So even though everything we are average in the worldly standard, but that doesn't mean our life will be average. Even though some of us probably very outstanding in the worldly standard, that doesn't mean our life will be outstanding. The key point is whether we have the abundance of God, whether we have the blessing of God. So how to ensure God abide us? That is a crucial point to live a very blessed life, to live a life above the average. Also, I remember a sister testified that one day another sister told her about her worry, because this sister was very outstanding and came to United States to get a very high degree. And then she looked at her own children, seems her own children all average. So she was so very worried. And this sister just told her her personal experience. I came to United States, everything's average. The school I started average. And then capability average. Everything is that average. But right now, my life is just like so wonderful, above average. How come? Because every day I experience the blessing of God. So most of us, we are in the beginning of our life. We have to hold on the most important part of our life. Pursue the abundance of God. And your life will be above average. How? God's holy law is vital. It's very important. Not only that, the vital necessity of teaching the children. Not only we ourselves have to be blessed. We want to ensure our children being blessed too. And how can we do that? Teaching our children. So in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6, if we look into chapter 6, from verse 4 to 9. 4 to 9 actually written in a poem and had some kind of rhyme. You can recite it. And most of the Israelites who are very fervent, they can remember it. And chapter 6, verse 4 to 9, actually is to remind the Israelite how to do the religious education at home. You know, your parents have gone through a lot of sleepless night, a lot of worry, especially when you go into the age of teenager. How come? It's so difficult nowadays to raise up a godly children. And if your parents are very godly, your parent will worry your faith the most. What kind of school you study actually is secondary. The most important is the faith, our relation with God. And one day you will become parents. What should you do? the most important to learn how to teach the children. You know, nowadays, not only enjoy your baby, right? When you start to have children, you start to bear the cross. 1 children, 1 cross. 2 children, 2 cross. So if you see a person who has 5 children, is very bold. Bear the 5 cross. So it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding to have children, but also having children is a very humbling experience. Now, how to teach the children? Verse 4. Hear, O Israel. What does that mean? Israel means the awareness of our own status. Before we know how to teach the children, we have to understand who am I, right? A lot of Oriental, they want their children, even born in United States, to learn their own mother language, or Korean, or Chinese, or whatsoever. Why? Because they care very much about who they are in ethnic identity. But that's not the most important. The most important is spiritual identity. So if we understand who am I spiritually, then we will emphasize so much about the religious education. Right? So, Israel. Yesterday we mentioned what Israel means. What does Israel means? Hey, brother, what does Israel means? Prince of God. Yes. Not the prince in the world, the Prince of God. Very noble status. And once we understand the spiritual status, and what is next? The Lord of God, the Lord is only one. Lord, what the Lord means? Lord means master. So Jesus Christ said one person cannot serve 2 masters. One is God, one is Mammon, right? No, we cannot serve 2 masters. We have only one master who is in control of life and who deserves our worship and who can bless us is the God himself. So what does the second sentence mean? The second sentence means the concept of value. After we are aware of our own status, the second is we have to hold on the right concept of value, because concept of value will determine every decision. It will determine every decision. Why do you make this decision? Why do you marry the Gentile, right? And why you chose this job? Eventually, the bottom line is related to the concept of value inside. Right? So, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. We have only one who can really become the master of us. It's God himself. But nowadays, sometimes we feel very sad. They treat the career as God. In order to be successful, they are waiting to trade in their children's faith for the success. In order to make more money, right? If you ask them, can you sell your children for 1 million, sell it to me? They say, no, no way. I love my children. How can I sell my children 1 million to you? But actually, they are selling their children for less than 1 million. Why? Because you get a better paid job. And then we have no time to discipline our children. There's another way of trading our children for money. And some of the parents, a lot of parents, actually, they do this way. So the Lord is only one God. So every decision we make is based on the concept of value. And then what's the next? The next is verse 6. Verse 5. You shall love your Lord, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. What does that mean? Teaching by our own conduct, exemplary life to teach our children. Before we teach them verbally, we have to behave, live a life according to the teaching of the Bible, so they can follow the pattern of life we set up. They can follow the pattern how we serve God, how we love God, how we love people. That should be the third step of the religious education. Sometimes behavior speaks louder than the words. So if we want our children to really keep the Sabbath, what should we do? One day you become parent. If you want your children to keep Sabbath, what do you do? Go, keeping the Sabbath. They may work hard to earn more money for you to buy better equipment. It's not the right way. No. If we want the children to keep the Sabbath, we ourselves keeping the Sabbath. If we want our children to live a life of Bible reading and prayer, what should we do? We ourselves start the Bible reading and prayer at home and let our children follow us. Ever since they are young, they kneel beside us and follow us. Right? If we want our children not to serve online so long, or not to idle around all day long doing nothing, what should we do? We as the parents, we have to set an example. So love our Lord, our God, with all our heart, with all our soul, and with all our strength. Once we love God in that way, God is a living God. God definitely will have something in response, and that is abundance of God, and that is a blessing of God. So let the children watch the parents, how they love God and how God loves them in return, and they will be convinced. It's good to put God first. It's good. We really follow God's teaching. And then after that, what should we do? Verse 7. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk to them when they sit in your house, when they walk by the way, when they lie down, and when they raise up. So what does that mean? Verbal teaching. Use the words to communicate with the children. In order to communicate with children, what do you do? Spend time. You have to spend time with the children and use every different kind of opportunity to instill the spiritual idea to their heart. So in order to teach our children the words of God, and we'll go through verse 6, and these words which I commanded you today shall be in your heart. So we have to study the words of God and use the words of God to build up our own concept first. A lot of times when we talk about the marriage of the youth, the most difficult part is not the student, it's not the youth. When we talk about the marriage, the most difficult part is what? It's the parents. And some of the parents, they've been growing up ever since they were young. And they believe in Jesus for 50 years and 60 years. But when talk about children's parents, you can see the concept still worldly. I want my daughter to marry a person. He must have a PhD degree. He must have what kind of achievement. That does not come from the teaching of the Bible. All right? A lot of different kind of criteria actually not come from the teaching of the Bible. So we have to form our own concept according to the teaching of the Bible, and then we can teach our children according to the teaching of the Bible. Use all different kind of opportunity. And the last one, verse 7. Verse 8. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlet between your eyes. Verse 9. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house, on your gate. So what does that mean? Create a spiritual environment. Before a person mature enough, a person is so easy to influence by the environment. Of course, when a person grows into maturity, we will not be influenced by environment so easily. So create a spiritual environment, and spiritual lifestyle is it's very important. So every day in our family life, what is the center? You know, a lot of family, they run their TV all day long. So when you grow up in that kind of family, very nature, the children just copy the parents. The living room, the bigger TV is better, and sit there for many, many hours. Right? So the vital necessity of teaching the children, this is the theme. Watch yourself, lest you forget. Let's read some of the verses, start from chapter 4, verse 9. Take heed to yourself and diligently keep yourself, lest you forget the things your eyes have seen, and lest they departed from your heart, and all the days and all of your life. And teach them to your children and your children's grandchildren. You talk about what? You have to be careful and teach your children, and ask your teacher to teach his own children, right? Don't forget about God's statute. Don't forget about what God has done for you. So it sounds is a little bit some kind of like a nagging, right? Your parents always tell you something the same, right? Always tell you something the same. You don't want to hear it, but why your parents repeat it? Because you don't do it, right? Or even you do it, sometimes your parents just don't want you to forget it. Even you do it, still want to tell you 2-3 more times, right? The same thing, Moses before he passed away. Keep on repeating the same thing. Because in the later part of Deuteronomy, we can see that God already told Moses, these people who I love the most, one day will desert me and worship the idol. So one day, they will be in exile to very far away place. God already tells Moses beforehand. So Moses was worrisome so much. So he kept on reminding them, be watchful, lest you forget. Chapter 9, verse 23, one more verse. Chapter 9, verse 23. Take heed to yourself, all right, lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make for yourself and carved image in the form of anything which the Lord your God has forbidden you. Take heed lest you forget the covenant of the Lord. If you forget the covenant of the Lord, then you are going to make an image, make an idol. Today, that kind of idol is not necessarily something visible. No, it's something invisible, occupy in our heart, and more important than God. And that is idol. And that will alienate our relation with God. Right? One more verse. Chapter 6, verse 12. Then beware, lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Look, if we continue to read all the verses, the same, all talking about same, right? Be careful, be watchful. Don't forget about God. Don't forget about the one who delivered you out of Egypt. Don't forget about the one who blessed you. The same thing, right? Because they care. Moses and God care their faith so much. Okay. And the keywords is covenant. So it appears 27 times in the book of Deuteronomy. The covenant made between God and the Israelite. Where did they make that covenant? Where did they make that covenant? The covenant between God and the Israelite. Where did they meet? Sinai, right? in Exodus chapter 17, right? Mount Sinai, that's called Old Testament, Old Covenant. Can you look one more time? Exodus chapter 17. Chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 and verse 6. This is the covenant. Chapter 19, verse 5. Can you read together? Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation, and these are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. So they will become a kingdom of priests. They will become the holy nation, and they will become a special treasure to God above all people, with one condition. What is the condition? Verse 5. What is the condition? Obey my voice and keep my covenant. And that covenant is especially referring to 10 Commandments. So, Israel had to keep the covenant, the commandment, and God will consider them a special people, as a treasure, and a nation, a holy nation. So this is so-called the covenant. Now come back to Deuteronomy. The Christ in Deuteronomy, right? All the Torah, every book, Christ is hidden there. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15. Let's read together, so you can have a better spirit. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your midst, from your brethren, him you shall hear. And verse 15 is talk about what? The Lord Jesus Christ. And him you shall hear. Only one person, him you shall hear. So Jesus Christ hidden here. This is a prophecy, the Christ in Deuteronomy. Now we go into the outline. From chapter 1 to chapter 4, verse 43, is a review of Israel's wandering. What happened in their wandering life. And then from chapter 4, 44 to chapter 26 is a rehearsal of Israel's law. And then from chapter 27 to chapter 30 is a ratification of Israel's covenant. And 31 to 34 is a conclusion. And let's very briefly go through that, because there are many very, very good verses. It's very useful to guide our life. Now, if we read the verse, chapter 1, Deuteronomy chapter 1. Verse 29. Then I say to you, do not be terrified, afraid of them. Verse 30. The Lord your God who goes before you will fight for you according to all he did for you in Egypt. God will fight for you. The first thing. In the world, they are not alone. Even a lot of difficulties, right? God will fight for you. And the second, 31. And in the wilderness, where you saw how the Lord your God carry you. And as a man carry his son in all the way that you went until you come to this place. The first is God will fight for you. The second is God will carry you. Right? No matter where you go, God will take care of you like a father take care of the children. So you don't have to worry. So this is the second point. And how about the third point? Verse 33. Who went in the way before you to search out a place for you, to pitch your tent, to show you the way you should go, in 5 hours by night and day by clouds. What does that mean? God will guide you. God will fight for you. God will carry you, and God will guide you. If God have done these kind of three things, then our life is very easy, right? It's very easy. God fight for you. In your difficulty, God will fight for you. No matter where you go, God will take care of you. Right? And then God will guide your path when you get lost. Then your life is really an easy life, right? So if we really be close to God, let God become our master, our life is really easy. The reason there's so many worries, so afraid of what is going to happen, because what? We hold our own future in our own hand. That's the reason. We are so limited when we hold our future in our own hand. There's so many trouble. When we trust our future to God, we really please Him, let Him guide us, no trouble. Now, verse 36. It's also a very beautiful verse. Except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, he shall see it, and to him and his children I am giving the land on which he walked before, because he wholly followed the law. So how come Caleb was able to go into the Canaan? Because he followed the law wholeheartedly. So he was able to go in. All the other people cannot go in. Joshua and Caleb, he followed the law wholeheartedly. So God fight for them, God carry them, and God guide their way. Now we look into chapter 2. Chapter 2 also there is one very useful verse. Chapter 2 verse 7. Chapter 2 verse 7. It's a very, very good verse. For the Lord your God hath blessed you in all the work of your hand, and He knows your struggle through the great wilderness. These 40 years, the Lord your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing. Is that wonderful? 40 years in the journey of the wilderness is so difficult, right? It's so terrifying. But the conclusion is you have lacked nothing. Everything you need provided by God. Why? Because the Lord your God has been with you. So this is the key point. How to live a good life. If the Lord your God is with you, then you shall lack nothing. So remember, the most important thing in our life is make sure God is with us. Then you shall lack nothing. If we forsake the most important part, then it's so many troubles, so many worry, so many uncertainty, right? So this is not only something theoretical. This is something experienced by the Israelites for 40 years. And then if we look into chapter 7. Chapter 7, verse 6. For you are the holy people to the Lord your God, and Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for himself, a special treasure above all the people on the face of the earth. Verse 8, the 7. And the Lord did not set his love on you, nor choose you, because you are more in number than any other people. For you were the least of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he swore to your fathers, and Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand. So the reason God treated them so well, the only reason because God loved them. That's all. Not because they are better than others, not because they're, in terms of number, they are more than others. So to be chosen by God, to belong to him, to become the prince of God itself, is the love of God. That's what God tried to say. And chapter 8, talk about why do they suffer. Why do they suffer in the wilderness? Okay, verse 2. Chapter 8, verse 2. And you shall remember that the Lord your God, that you all the way 40 years in the wilderness to humble you, to test you, to know that what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandment or not. So after they go through the 40 years of suffering, and they start to understand themselves better than others. Without suffering, sometimes we don't know ourselves, right? Whether our faith is good or not, whether we are faithful to God or not, we don't know ourselves. One day when we suffer, all of a sudden, then we know ourselves very bad, very much. So that was the reason God made them suffering in the wilderness. So all of a sudden they know it, right? Just like NYTS will come here a little bit suffering, right? And all of a sudden you find out, how strong is my faith? And the second reason why they suffer. Verse 16. Verse 16. Who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your father did not know, that he might humble you and he might test you to do good in the end. So suffering will humble them so they can enjoy the blessing of God forever. God will bless the humble, and God will stop the pride, those who are proud. So after go through suffering, and they become very humble. They know everything comes from God. They know how to give glory to God so that God can bless them forever. So when a member, start from young, They do business and they can become very successful. They always will think about this is because my capability, because I put a lot of effort. If a member had gone through so many different kind of failure, and one day the member becomes successful, and he will be very humble. I'm successful because God bless us. So suffering sometimes is necessary to keep us humble, so we can receive blessing of God forever. So this is chapter 8. Okay, chapter 10. Chapter 10, verse 12. What does the Lord require of us? And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? But to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and to keep the commandment of the Lord and his statutes, which I command you today for your good. All right? So if we do what does the Lord, our God require of us, and definitely our life will receive a lot of blessing from him. Okay, now we're going to almost the last part. Last part, chapter 31, God commanded Joshua to succeed Moses. So Joshua was a successor of Moses. And then chapter 32, God commanded Moses to climb up to the mountain of Nebo to observe, behold, the promised land. But Moses was not able to go in. Why? Because God was offended, because he used the rod to strike the rock for twice. And then 34, he talk about one verse, very important, right? Joshua followed whatever Moses did. So Joshua himself did not have new direction. He followed Moses. So what does that mean? In the church, eventually what we should do is to follow what the direction of our early worker, because God revealed it to them. Lastly, let's make a comparison about the Torah. What the keywords and the theme, and there's a relationship there. Genesis, the keyword is beginning, the beginning of everything. So in the book of Genesis, talk about the election of a nation. God made covenant with Abraham. At the beginning of a nation, God chose to become a nation worshiping the only true God. The book of Exodus, the theme is, keyword is redemption. So redemption of a nation out of Egypt and go back to the promised land. And the Leviticus, the keyword is holiness. So the theme is sanctification of the nation. They had to be sanctified, keeping God's law, so the God of holiness can abide with them. And Numbers, the keyword is wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. So the theme is the direction of the nation. For a period of time, the direction get lost. So no wonder they wander for 40 years. And eventually the new direction, the new generation finds a new direction of the nation. When they find the correct direction, and it's time for them to go into Canaan. So the direction of the church is very important. And equally important is the direction of a family. And equally important is direction of your life, every individual. What is the direction of your life? If the direction is wrong, then we are going to wandering 40 years in the wilderness. If the direction is right, then we can go into Canaan to enjoy the blessing in the kingdom of God. The last one, Deuteronomy the key word is to review, reiterate, remind the law God has given to them. So this is the instruction of the nation. How should they behave after Moses died? So this is the first 5 books called Torah, summarized and between each book's relationship. Let's pray in silence.